Republic Act 9208, maganda pong batas na ito. It is very comprehensive. In fact, it covers 3 forms of human trafficking: sexual trafficking, labor trafficking, and organ trafficking. Ngayon, ano bang maganda dito sa bagong batas, yung the Expanded Anti-Trafficking Act? Maganda na yung Republic Act 9208. Ang bagong batas po ay nagbibigay ng mas maraming proteksyon sa mga biktima natin. For one, yung past sexual disposition nila ay hindi po pwedeng gamitin as ebidensya laban sa kanila. So this is what we call the rape shield rule, which is now adopted in the expanded law. Another thing is they are protected from retaliation suits. In other words, if they filed a case and then the accused or the human traffickers syndicate would try to file a case against them to serve as a leverage, this will be set aside. Now, another thing is the penalty for buying a traffic victim for purposes of prostitution or pornography has already increased. Dati kasi sa 9208, the penalty is only 6 months community service and then just a fine of 50,000 for the first offense. And then for 1 year imprisonment and the penalty of 100,000 pesos for a second offense. Now that penalty has been increased to 6 years to 12 years. And if the victim is a minor, the penalty is much higher. Now, the purpose here is actually to hit also the demand side. Because now, if you buy minor or a woman for purposes of prostitution or pornography, the penalty is much higher, and it doesn't even matter whether or not you know the woman or the child is a human trafficking victim. And worse, if you know that the person is a human trafficking victim, the penalty is so much higher. And if the victim is a minor, then you get the highest penalty, which is life imprisonment. And then the expanded law also provided protection to the stakeholders. So if the stakeholders in the performance of his regular duties or functions, whether as a law enforcement or as a social worker, or any person who is authorized by the law enforcement or social worker to give assistance or to locate the victim for purposes of investigation and prosecution of the case, then that person is also afforded protection by the expanded law. In other words, they are immune from suit, because it is known that human traffickers will try to harass our partners, our stakeholders, just so to discourage them from doing their job. So this law intends to give more protection also, not only to our victims, but also to our stakeholders. Ang maganda dito sa expanded law natin, ngayon, bawal na po ang affidavit of desistance. Or, in other words, if we try to influence the victim or convince the victim, either by any form, whether suyo or takot, pwede na natin sampahan itong tao na who is trying to convince or threaten our victim from desisting in pursuing a case against the human traffickers, whether it be at the investigation stage or during prosecution stage. Ang penalty po dito is 15 years kung sakaling makonvict itong tao who is trying to convince this person to execute an affidavit of desistance or not participate in the investigation or prosecution of the case. Another thing is, this human trafficking is, under this law, is a continuing crime. So in other words, kung nag-umpisa siya dito sa Pilipinas, dito siya na-recruit, dito siya nasuyo, in-offer ng trabaho, and eventually, na-exploit siya sa labas ng bansa, pwede pa rin natin habulin yung mga perpetrators in this crime who participated in the commission of human trafficking. At yan po ang Republic Act 9208 as amended by Republic Act 10364 for the DOJ review. Maraming salamat po.